Hi, welcome back to the channel. Michelle, and today I'm going to be talking about how I helped my middle child find a joy in reading. So my 8-year-old daughter, she just turned 8, has had struggle with reading in the past. And a lot of that has had to do with her ADHD, and that can affect people differently. It's not just a one-all, if you have ADHD, you'll have trouble reading. It's not like that. Her problem is focus, stamina, being able to sit and read, and also working memory when it comes to reading has been a struggle for her. And we've been working through this over the years. We've used All About Reading curriculum for all my kids, and it's worked really well, continues to work really well. But I wanted to make this video to kind of talk about how we transition from, the learning to read to reading for fun. Because when I think you struggle with reading, learning to read for fun or realizing reading is actually pleasurable, a fun thing you can do, is difficult, especially when you pick up a book every time and you know it's going to be harder. So I kind of wanted to share some of the things I've done that has helped her with that. So number one is really educating her and helping her understand her brain. So I've talked about this in previous videos as well. Thriving with ADHD workbook for kids, 60 fun activities to help children self-regulate, focus, and succeed. This was really helpful for her. And it has a series, like it says, of different activities you can do, and some of those are goal setting, which is really important. With ADHD, it's very easy to get time blindness, where you're very stuck in that moment right there. You can't really foresee consequences or things in the future, and it's harder for you to sometimes build up to goals. So one of the things that really helped in here was giving her visualizations of ways to break down goals, and also just understanding how her brain works, that when she's having these struggles, why is she having these struggles? Because it's very easy for kids to internalize that I'm dumb or I'm not getting this and it's my fault. It's not. Her brain just works differently, and giving her the information about how her brain works so she better understands it, but also gives her the tools necessary for coping mechanisms, but also tools to deal with certain situations, because at the end of the day, it's her brain, not mine. I can give her all the advice I want to, but if she's unable to self-reflect and understand what works best for her, she's gonna have a harder time. So this book was really helpful, and one of the things in here was setting a goal, and the goal she actually set for herself was to read better, and this was, no pushing on my part. She wanted that personal goal. So we walked through the steps, kind of like a ladder, so you want to do this, and she decided she needed to practice daily. That would help her read, so she set a goal for 20 minutes. And okay, so how are you going to remember to read every day without me reminding you? So one of the techniques is post-it notes. So she made a post-it that hangs on her bathroom mirror. So when she goes to brush her teeth every night, she sees the post-it. Oh yeah, and visual reminder. Visual reminders are very key for ADHD brains. And she reads every night, and it's become such a habit at this point. She doesn't need the post-it. It's just habitual, which is really important with the ADHD brains, I think, too, that once you get the train going on that it keeps going. It falls in line. It's very easy to get it off track if, something happens or this or that, but if you have a consistent schedule, it does help with that. So she has done phenomenal with that. She's been reading a ton of books, but I think really educating her on her brain, how it works, how this struggle she's having with reading relates to that, and that it's not her fault. Her brain just works differently. We're going to have to approach it in a different way. Educating your child on what's going on with them, I think, is really important. Number two is I didn't assign any reading outside of what was in her curriculum. Like I said, we do All About Reading, and we're on level 3 right now, and she does have readers for that, and there's an assigned reading in there that tells you when to read it. Other than that, I never assigned her reading outside of school or what we were doing. I didn't want to put the pressure on her, and this is not to say that I think you should wait, until your child's 8 to teach them to read, delayed reading or anything like that. I think you need to understand when your child needs help in the area. It's very easy to say, this is a struggle, this is hard, let's switch this curriculum, but never really getting to the bottom of what the issue is. Like I said, her main struggles are related to her ADHD. So knowing that, I can adjust to meet those needs, but I don't want you to say, some people will say they just need time. And I'm sure there's kids out there that just need time, but there's a lot of kids out there that need early intervention, that need help, that need resources to get there. So I didn't assign her any outside reading because I didn't want that additional pressure, because it was a struggle, it was frustrating for her. But I was very firm on schoolwork is schoolwork. So if this is our assigned reading, this is our assigned reading. And you know, the chapter books in All About Reading Level 3, they can be longer and they're lengthier pages. So of course we'll break it up into multiple days. It's not like she has to read a full thing in a day. That's adjusting to her stamina and what she's capable of. But the consistency of reading really does help, and having those kind of firm boundaries that this is hard, but we're going to get through it, we're going to work through it. So number 3 is environment. So I think this is really important. Obviously, we have a ton of books in our house, and we had a ton of books before we started homeschooling as well. That's just, we're big readers. We always have books available in the house. But one of the things I was reading, I read this book, The Reading Zone, How to Help Kids Become Passionate, Skilled, Habitual, Critical Readers. This was really helpful. I originally got it for my oldest, but it really did help with my youngest as well. Was setting up the environment. So again, with her ADHD brain, unless it's right there in her face, and sometimes even then she doesn't see it. So I took a bookshelf on our, because we have multiple bookshelves from IKEA, and I set all of her books that she could read, and I sectioned them off. So one section was easy readers, and this is talked about in the book here. And then next section would be where she's at now. You know, she could it's not a struggle for her to read it. And then the last section would be challenging books, things that would take more time, more growth, be harder for her. So she has the freedom to choose, 7 easy books, bam, 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 build up that confidence, build up that stamina. She could pick, where she is right now, or she can pick a challenging book. That is, the choice is up to her, but it's getting her to consistently read, it's getting her to practice, and it's also building her confidence that, yeah, you read 7 easy books. That's really good. I'm proud of you. So I think the environment is really important with that. Also with that, making sure I am also displaying that reading can be fun, which is not difficult. I am an avid reader. So is my oldest daughter. We're constantly reading. So I will spend, hours a day reading, and that's what I do for fun. And 9 times out of 10, if I'm sitting on the couch after dinner reading a book, she'll grab one of her books and sit down too. So I do think them seeing that in the other members of the family is really important, that reading is something that can be fun, that's not just schoolwork, it's not just to learn something, that reading can actually be something that's pleasurable. So I think how we approach it too. I have my own stack of books, she's got her own stack of books, we read often. Another thing is I don't restrict her reading. So I don't, I'm not gonna say, oh, that's twaddle, that's not appropriate for you to be reading at your age level. I'm not going to restrict things. She goes through a series of books or topics that she's really interested in. She was really interested in the human body, so she took, giant stacks out at the library, and they were in the older section. So, anatomy, all those. Is she reading every single one of them? No. Sometimes she's looking at the pictures, but I'm not going to say, no, you can't read that. I think when we restrict books, we tell kids that some things aren't meant for you, and that's just not how we are in this house. So I don't restrict what she reads. If she wants to pick up a bunch of books on her latest thing that she's really into is geology and rocks. So she, again, went to the library and got a ton of geology and rock books, and it's feeding that interest. And she really enjoys looking at the pictures, but also reading the text as well. So it's kind of letting her have her own passion when it comes to reading. Because, as adults, we read books we want to read. We're not often reading books we're assigned to read. But she also, every time we go to the library, which again, we often go to the library. This week, we went 3 times. The first one was for a library program, but she did get books. And by Wednesday, so we went Monday, by Wednesday she had read all of the books she had gotten, so she got new books. And then I had some books that just came in on Saturday, so we went back today and she picked more books. But I just want to kind of show that she is actively reading by her own choice. And I do think that makes it a difference, that it's their choice that they're doing this, that this is fun, but having an environment that, shows and welcomes reading, making sure we're making multiple trips to the library, because she does really like choosing her own books from the library. And again, having that control, the more control kids have in situations, the more they're more likely to do. So we always have library. One of the things she really got into that helped her in the beginning was graphic novels. And again, I think some of people give graphic novels, it's not really classic literature. Well, that's great. But these did really help her. These are some of the very early readers she did. As you can see, it's not a lot of writing. I really do like this ready to read graphics, and they're level 1, 2, 3. She's past level 3 at this point, but we got these, I think she got these last Christmas actually for practice. But I think these are great introductions, especially with ADHD brains. It's visually pleasing, it's going to attract them, but it's getting them to read more and more. Because, the only way you're really going to get better at reading is if you read. So the more we can naturally encourage them, the better I think it is. But graphic novels were really great, and she still really enjoys graphic novels to this day. This is something she picked up at Five Below. Again, most of it's pictures with some words, but these are a great introduction to get them into reading. And now she's at the point where she's starting to read earlier chapter books. But again, working up and giving them the options of choosing their reading. And that goes into other areas as well. So we use Dimensions Math. And in the past, we do the test booklet. During the past, I would read her the word problems because they can be kind of longer. And this past time she took a test this last week, she's like, well, I want to read the problems myself. I said, are you sure? She said, yeah. It took her, twice as long to finish her math test, but she could read all the math problems herself, and it wasn't an issue. So giving them that kind of leeway in it, that they can take hold of some of it, but making sure that you're still checking in that reading is happening. Another thing that I did that was helpful, and this was the last two I'm going to talk about were suggestions from Mama Librarian, a great resource. If you don't know her channel, check it out. I was kind of explaining how she was struggling with reading and some of the things I could do about it. She suggested this bookmark, and I'll link it down below if I can remember where I got it from. But it's just a bookmark that you can print out, and it says stuck on a word, the different things you can do for that. So bird's eye, look at the pictures. So look for clues in the pictures. Lips, the fish, get your lips ready, say the first few sounds of the word. Stretchy snake, stretch it out. Stretch out the word slowly, put the sounds back together. Chunky monkey, look for certain chunks or blends. Skippy frog, skip it and hop back. So read the sentence and figure out if you can figure out what the word is you didn't know. Try lion, try to reread the word. Try a word that makes sense. Flippy hippo, flip the vowel sound. Try a short or long vowel sound, see if that works. And I think this is a great thing. So she uses this in her books, and sometimes she will get stuck on a word. And again, with that visual brain ADHD, seeing these little things, okay, this is what I can do. Giving her the tools to kind of go down that list of what can I do to figure out this word instead of getting frustrated or upset or giving up or skipping the word. She has a resource list of what to do while she's reading. That did help. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the thing that I think really tipped her into finding reading really fun. And again, this was a Mama Librarian suggestion. So both her and I have talked about reading the subscription box, the Once Upon a Book Club, where you get a box and it has a book in it, and then it has gifts themed around those books. And I was talking about how it would be awesome if they had that for younger kids, because it would be a really good incentive to read, especially with an ADHD brain, which is highly motivated by those little reward systems, the little dopamine, that it would help build the stamina. It would do some really great things. So she was nice enough to put a box together for me. And the box, the book in it was The Princess in Black. And then it had some gifts that went along with it. And you can see here, throughout it, she put little tags. And she made a video recently about making one for an older kid. So I will link that for you to watch, because again, I think it's a wonderful idea, and I think it would make a really big difference for younger kids with reading as well. So she would put these little here, and then she would open the gift that coordinated with the page, and she absolutely loved it. It made it so much fun. And again, this was her first time trying a chapter book. Again, she had gravitated towards graphic novels in the past, and easier reads. So this one was more of a challenge for her, but that was really good. I think it really pushed her. And after she read it, she had a lot of confidence and said, hey, I can do this. And two, she saw the benefits that if you read longer books, you get the full story. That sure, you could look at the pictures and get a gist of what the story is about, but that there's actually a lot of interesting things that happen with the character dialogue that you wouldn't be able to tell unless you read it. So she built her confidence. She realized that reading longer books can actually be fun and rewarding, and she loved the gifts. And it doesn't have to be anything, extravagant or crazy if you want to put one of these together. Some of them were a ring pop and a pair of princess socks that she really loved, and a wand and a card game. It can be simple or complicated. It doesn't have to be overly, you don't have to break the bank making it, but it did make a significant change in how she viewed reading, and it really did, I think, tip the scales for her into realizing reading is actually fun and she can do it. And again, the more she reads, the easier it becomes for her. And she has noticed this as well. She was doing her All About Reading, and she's noticed that it's gotten significantly easier. She used to struggle with those longer chapter stories, and now it's flying. Like, her fluency is awesome, and it's because of the reading. And she realizes when she reads on a daily basis, the next day when she does school, it goes quicker. So she's seeing that correlation between, if I practice, it's easier, and realizing that reading can in fact be fun and something you do for pleasure. So those are a few things that I have done in the past that have really helped her kind of tip the point of finding reading as a pleasurable activity, something that she really enjoys doing, instead of just reading to learn something or reading for school. If you have any specific questions, let me know in the comments below. If not, thank you for watching.